Hey everybody, welcome back to Tomcat Zone. I'm Doug, and I think that's the first time I've told my name, everybody. So I'm sure you know me by, if you have visited my channel, you'll see my name. And anyway, just a little bit about me. I'm a gamer for years now. I call this particular thing I'm doing right now Tomcat Zone for no other reason than I've been a F-14 Tomcat fan ever since I was a kid. And never forgot to change. I wanted to go into the Navy myself to maybe be a pilot, and went to my recruiter. He told me he'd have me on an aircraft right out of boot camp, and I said, "Well, I'd like to be flying it." He said, "Well, you're gonna have to go back to school for that." So that's what I did. My whole life took a different path, but still always been a fan of Tomcat. But I can, take no other credit in that regard other than to say just being a fan of the aircraft, and certainly the whole aircraft carrier Navy system as far as it is an offensive weapon. It's just amazing to see. Anyway, we are into game turn 9, the evening turn of our Indian Ocean War of game day 3 is coming to its nighttime hours, and we have a log file to roll through to start, which is good news. So let's get at it. We find out that the Allies win the initiative and I start with surface. So let's close some windows up here and let's see what happens. All right. Task Group 8 continues its race up the coast of the United Arab Emirates to get to Bahrain and Qatar. There's 2 empty tankers in that group. Once they are landed, I can put those warships. Let's look at Task Force 8 a minute. We've got 3 Italian ships here, a destroyer and 2 frigates. Once those 2 empty tankers are released from their care, I can bring those warships to bear here against his forces down here in the Gulf of Oman and the South Arabian Sea, which has been holding up my task forces from being able to move forward here. Anyway, Task Force 8 is almost landed, and that's great news because I will soon have more points on the board too. Everything else is just, you see that those 2 task forces, 11 and 12, move atop Task Force 8, and I combine them all. And you're going to see basically as I combine all 3 of those task forces into one task force. Then I just redesignate Task Force 10 into Task Force 7. Little housekeeping here to make my screens a little easier to read. Once those ships, see, the cool thing is next turn, when the next movement cycle for ships happens, in game turn 10, the Sungari and the Bridgeton can just go their direction, and I can start moving those ships south. That's a big war, a big group of warships there that I can put to use down here in the Arabian Sea. That's exciting. Task Force 7 is located by the Chaika. Okay. Task Force 7 will attack the Chaika with a 9 ASW value. We roll a 9. And finally, that old World War II vintage sub, that thorn that's been in my side inside the Persian Gulf for 9 turns now, is finally put to the bottom of the sea. And Task Force 7 heads back out. No, it doesn't. I move it up into the Persian Gulf further, as you see it kind of go all around there, and I change my mind. Then I just do some adjustments of ships, bottleneck the Persian Gulf. All right, Task Force 6 moves. Task Force 6 is this group right here of Pakistani ships. It's a good little group here. 24 SSM combat strength there. It's viable attack group, but I maneuver her up and around the by Masira here to get around the storm zone. Task Force 2 moves to be in close proximity to the Tbilisi group. The Ark Royal will fire on Task Force 1 with 27 SSM Sea Skimmer attack. I first roll for where I can target. We get a 6, which is the top of the stack. I will put 25 into the Ustinov and 2 into the Isakov. Your area air is 15, halved for my Sea Skimmer, so the Ustinov will have an 11, the Isakov a 19. Your defense rolls +4 to your roll for Task Force and air early warning. He does have an air early warning aircraft up. All right, I roll a 7 for his defense roll. And that is a -7 and a -8 to my attacks, which doesn't look too good there. The first one I roll a 7, which is actually great. Okay, so I had said I was going to do an attack roll of 27. No, excuse me. Let's see here. See, I will roll where I can target. 25 into the Ustinov. So we go to the CRT on a 7 9 minus 7 is a 2 on the 25. That's a 3 hit, and the Ustinov is a 5. That's a second hit on the Ustinov, and she goes down. The next roll is an 8, which is 0 on the 2 column, which I'm certain is no effect. The Ustinov is killed. The Isakov is missed. So the Brits get a nice little piece of revenge there for their Ark Royal being damaged, sinking the Ustinov. All we're doing now is just doing some moving of ships in his task force there. Next we see the Lincoln group move, and she moves 3. I'm going to attack Task Force 1 with a 42 Sea Skimmer attack. I roll for location. I get a 4. Again, the attack on the top of the stack. I'll put 32 in the Zakharov and 10 into the Isakov. Area air is 6, halved by my Sea Skimmers. So Zakharov has 14 and Isakov has an 18, both on the same column. He has a +4 for Task Force and air early warning. His defense roll is a 2. That's great, which is a 6. That's a -5 to my attack rolls. I will roll for the Zakharov and the Isakov. I roll a 3 and a 9. And what happens next? Both ships are damaged. So we see the Zakharov and the Isakov now damaged. His Task Force 1 is now starting to feel exactly what I've been feeling all game long here, which is great. All right. (32) on -2 is a 2. 2 hit on the Zakharov. The Zakharov had a 4, so a 2 is a damage. So yep, both ships are damaged. Nice. Okay, both ships are damaged. We continue. The Sea Giant and the, going back here a minute, these two small empty tankers. Oh, why is there only one there? There's the other one. The Sea Giant and the Gas Prince, there they go. Make their slow chug towards the Persian Gulf. Both damaged. Moving the Enterprise all the way back to up against Diego Garcia. Now my aircraft are flush against him. To bring in any bombers, he has to go against my Tomcats. And once more, though, my Enterprise sits, or not once more, continuously sits defending this airbase. The amphibious assault vessels move once more to group up with Task Force 4. I get rid of the oiler, the ammunition ship, and basically you just see some maintenance going on as the amphibious assault vessels are put back in place with the rest of... Something happened here, excuse me, I gotta go back once. Okay, Task Force 5 attacks the Skorts off with an ASW-6. My roll is a 6 or a 0, no effect, and then that group again races towards the East Indian Ocean to try and get away. So that looks to be all my ships, it says here. Back to you. Let's bring up the next map. All right, we continue. Scott activates his submarines with the next action segment. And if you guys are wondering why it always seems to be that I have a log file and Scott always has a save file, well, it kind of worked that way all the time due to our fact that I'm on the East Coast and he's out on the West Coast, and just times to be able to get together. It would always be a case where we would do a turn together and then, or at least do as much as we could face to face, and then usually we would leave it with my initiative because he'd either have to get to work or to bed because of timing. And I would always do a log file and send it back to him. So bottom line, that's why we're not seeing too many of the Soviet turns in a log file. Bottom line is, I said that he starts with subs. So we don't have a log file, as I said, so all I can do is extrapolate from the notes here. The Casablanca is finally hit. He brought the Beluga in and attacks the Casablanca, and she is finally torpedoed. The French have not had a lot of luck. I don't think she sank much, even as in all the travels that she did over there in the Gulf of Aden and Socotra. In a scary series of attacks here, this was very stressful, I will tell you. You can see here he's got the Rykov, he's got the Nogan, and the Rosoko. Okay, 18, 30, and 30. Two torpedo strengths of 30, one of 18. And Scott loves to target ASW ships, sinking them, and then, of course, with that done, freeing up or making the other ships defenseless. So, needless to say, my Task Force 3 here, which is the Lincoln group, sat and took a lot of torpedo attacks over this action segment. And you will see that the Ingersoll was hit and the McCluskey was hit. These are really strong ASW frigates and destroyers. Just to show you, 7 and 7. That was 14 points of ASW strength. Fortunately, I still have one more, the McKinney with 7. The Lincoln, of course, has 8. That's 15. And then you put the Anzio here at 5. I'm down to a 20 strength in ASW in this task group. Not that that's shoddy, but when you have 3 subs around you that are already hard to find, it's never fun. So anyway, the series of attacks here was very, very stressful. I sat there and thanked the gods, the dice gods, for the number of bad rolls he made, even though he did get some hits in. Fortunately, the damaged ships were all that he was able to achieve. It's a bummer to lose the strength, but at least they're still afloat and they are still viable ships. Okay, that's pretty much everything that occurred here in this area with his submarines. Down in the Chagos Archipelago, again, we continue our combat here. And the slow convoy Titan is hit right here. So the Sprague was already hit. Titan gets hit this turn. Again, fortunately, it's still afloat. We're very close to our goal of Diego Garcia with that small group of ships. But, you know, I'm going to have to endure another attack for certain because they're not going to get there all the way. The Ranger Task Force over here. Again, a swarm of subs race in to attack her. Task Force 5. And we're down to the CG Gridley, the Waddell, and these two PCs. I believe we lost another ship in that attack. Let's see here. Let's look at the damages once. No fast frigates. No new destroyers. So no, that was the way it was before. But so he must have made a series of attacks and got unlucky, which is fortunate for me. But I'm holding on as long as I can. And no one is coming to help. There's no help to send, and there's no aircraft. These Orions keep missing, so not much I can do there. So this whole race is just a matter of time. I hate to sound so gloomy, but it is. His Task Force 4 and Indian Task Force 1. The Indian Task Force is almost clear of the storm zone. I'm not worried about his Task Force 4 for another until the new morning. So even if when he does move his surface ships, it's only going to move one. This Task Force 1, though, will be able to move full speed because it will leave the storm zone and have its full speed available. So don't think I'm going to, unless I get some initiative and I can move south, I don't think I'm going to escape him there. So that's pretty much everything he did this round with his subs. Again, it wasn't anything productive except for a few hits, but still scary, very scary. I think, yep. I don't know when it was. It was either last turn or this turn the Balkash made its last cruise missile attack against Diego Garcia, and it did miss. I don't know if we talked about that from the previous game day or not, or game turn, or yeah, game turn or not, but the Balkash, that was his last cruise missile attempt in Diego to strike my base and get another day's worth of damage on it. That's all it would have achieved. Would have held my carrier in place for another day because it would have had to sit there and protect that base from bombers. One thing Scott mentioned in his post-analysis of this game, and this is just something that I'll say for anybody that's looking to play the scenario 12 here, the Indian Ocean War, he stated basically that if he would have thought about it prior, he would have tried to get more of his subs with cruise missile abilities down in these regions around Chagos Archipelago and Diego Garcia, because as he stated, it would have been better to eliminate that base from the beginning. Fortunately, that's not how it played out. All right, we're going to bring up the next map. All right, everybody, we got a new log file here with me again. Okay, so we roll for initiative, and the Allied units get initiative. I activate air, and hopefully this will be a better result than the last time. Let's see what happens as we roll through this. Again, the Ad-Daman bombers fly out and attack this base called Shiraz. All right, it is damaged 1, so its air defenses have been reduced by half to 7. So he rolls for his close air defense roll. It's a 9. That's never good. It's a -5 to my attack, and I need to see if my bomber is hit. My roll to see if the aircraft is damaged is an odd number, which means no effect. The bombing will occur with an 80 bomb value, no nighttime reduction due to my Tornado G being part of the attack. Some aircraft cannot fly at night, or at least bomb at night, but unless it's escorted by certain aircraft. The Tornado G, Saudi Tornado G, is one of those aircraft that can negate any kind of nighttime penalties. Needless to say, I roll a 2 and I get no effect. I can't even damage a base at nighttime undefended. All right, again, our aircraft launch out of Dubai and fly south. Where? Oh, I know what we're doing. I remember this attack now. And he gets over the Lincoln task group, and we join up with them to make a very large attack group here. Now you're going to see a bunch of counters moving around a minute. And the reason why is because I'm trying to negotiate what units can be in this attack. In any attack that you make with an airstrike, it can only have 4 combatant aircraft. The electronic warfare aircraft is not considered a combatant auxiliary aircraft. Instead, I did not bring the S3 into this attack because I wasn't sure if it was, since it was going in with missiles, even though it's a recon, if it would be considered a combat aircraft. So, needless to say, I left it on the deck. I even say as much. So my EA6 out of Abu Dhabi flies to join up with my F-15 in Dubai, and they then join up with the Lincoln's attack squadron. I took my S3 Viking out of the mix as I am not sure if he is considered a recon or an attack since it is carrying harpoons. I think it could have been part of this attack, but I didn't want to come overpress anything. So nothing in the rule says to the latter, and as a recon, it would not overcome the stack limits. Still, I'm not sure on which way it should go, so no S3. F-18s are in the attack mode or bomber mode. No, attack mode because they're carrying harpoons. You attack at range 2 with cap value 13. I have a 37 with my F-14s. That gives me 1 to 3 odds, and our EWs negate one another. So once again, his combat air patrol here comes out to meet mine with the 18 and the F-15s and the let's see here. We've got 1 for the A6, 18 for the F-15s, and then the Tomcats on patrol there are included because of the attack is under their envelope. So my Lincoln-based Tomcats here have 18s. That's 37 points. I have 2 electronic warfare aircraft in the mix, but you can only count 1. So the bottom line is 37 points to his 13. I got 1 to 3 odds. He's the attacker, I'm the defender. Our EWs negate one another. So here we go again. 1 to 3 odds on the air-to-air attack combat table. 1 to 3. This is a greater percentage of opportunity for me. I've got a 5 or less. So I've got I got a 60% chance of success here. If I roll a 5, we're both going home. But if I roll under a 5, obviously it's a hit on him. If I roll higher than that 5, I not only could go home, but one of my fighters could be damaged. So this could be again a risk here. So let's see what happens. Your cap attack roll is a 2. Boom again. and the Tbilisi loses her aircraft. And a 2 on the 1 to 3 is a 1 step of damage and a return. I get to choose what step of damage, and oops, that's not what I want. You will see that I damaged another S-33 aircraft. Brilliant, brilliant. His Tbilisi combat over anything he can put up for cap over that thing is maximum of 10 now. It's wonderful. All right, that being done, my air-to-surface missiles may now fire. They are all sea skimmers, which halves his defenses, his area air defenses. That is 1 step. In return for your air, I will flip your S-33, as I said. Okay, I have 80 SSM attack. Now to roll where I hit, I roll a 7. That's the bottom of the stack. So let's look at his stack a minute. Bottom of the stack, he's got 6 ships. I've got the Lichny, the Petropavlovsk, and the Zhidanov. Truly, the Lichny is the biggest threat here because of her 14 SSM strength. She's got great air defense, and the Petropavlovsk as well. So if I can kill those 2 craft, I pretty much reduce his air defenses to nothing, and he has nothing left in a surface-to-surface attack ability. So there's my targets. I will do 42 on the Lichny and 38 on the Petropavlovsk. All are sea skimmer. You have an 11 air reduced to 5, area air reduced to 5. The Lichny has an 11. And the Petropavlovsk has a 14. You lose your task force bonus from my electronic warfare. So, he does not get any bonuses to his dice roll. He's on 11 and 14 on the CRT for his defense. 11 and 14, 2 different columns. His roll is a 9. That's a great freaking roll. 9 on the 11 is a -6, and -6 for the 14. So same negative modifier to both my attacks. That is a -6 to both my attacks. I will do it Lichny first and the Petropavlovsk second. Again, we're on the 42 and the 38 attack columns. So these 2 attack columns. The first one will be the 42. And it'll be a -6 to my rolls. Here's the first one, and it goes 4. So 4 minus 6 is a -2. Going over to 42 is a 2, and that is enough to hit the Lichny. I need 2s for both these ships to damage them. And that is a hit. I roll a second, which is a 0. A 0 on the 38 is a 3. Not a kill, but a damage. Both ships are hit. Boom, boom. We look at his task force now. And I pretty much have almost gutted out the middle of this group here. Still, that Lichny is still kind of strong with a 10. I need to kill it, but for the most part, it's nice to see his ships dying and my aircraft return to their bases. Next, the S3 Viking launches, and he flies down and puts 20 SSM into Task Force 1. I roll to see where I hit. I roll a 5. That's the bottom of the stack. I put 19 into the Lichny and 1 into the Petropavlovsk. Area airs 3. He has a 9. He does have a +2 for Task Force. His roll is a 7. It's a -5 to both rolls. I will roll the 19 first, but we'll ignore the 1 attack because it doesn't matter what I roll. It won't hit anything. So on the 19 roll, I will roll a 1, which is no effect. Of course, I'd get a 1. Why would I roll high numbers on anything that has to do with my benefit? Always his benefit there, unless it's air to air. I got to say my fortunes were good there. All right, this Mirage aircraft takes off out of Abu Dhabi. Goes with extended range as an option. What that does is it reduces its bombing ability. Realistically, I was just throwing whatever I could. I was trying to get another kill in this midst of combat. Something I could, have a victory dance for. My bomber flies over, he hits it, and he actually destroys that Mirage, so it never goes home. Actually lost points on that attack. Again, the Orions launch out of the Indonesia area. They fly up to attack somebody. They attack the Skortsov, and we get a 6, which is a no effect. They land. S3 flies off the Enterprise and attacks the Skortsov with a 1 and no effect. Here's a good attack. The Enterprise launches her S3, F-18s, and an A6 squadron for a grand total of 120 points of combat SSM strength. He brought this Task Force 2 around from along the coastline there, these flotillas, these Indian flotillas, Task Force 2, Flotilla 1, 2, and 3. Really great combat strength, 30, 33, a tremendous amount of anti-ship combat. But Scott brought them up against my submarines, and once I located them, that's all I needed to do, to get that local detection marker on them, and I could do this. And 120 SSM on that ship. Enterprise strikes on Indian Task Force. I roll to see where I hit. It's the lower part of the ship stack. I will do 60 points attack on both ships. There's only 4. There's only 4 ships, so I put 60 on both of these flotillas. 6. It's a -4 to my. That is a -4 to flotilla, -5 to flotilla 3. I will roll in this order. I roll a 0 and a 9. Flotilla 2 is damaged. Flotilla 3 is killed. My aircraft return to their base. So the Indians just went to a task group, lost a flotilla here, and one of their flotillas has now been reduced. That was a nice little thing there. That's all of my air, so let's bring up the next map. All right, everybody, this is the last map of this game turn that we'll go over. As it is not a log file, it was a series of turns that we played face-to-face. As you can see, the progression after my aircraft flew in action segment 3, he activated his surface ships, and then one initiative and activated his aircraft, the only thing he had left. And then I ended the segment with my subs. What can we just look at and see about what happened here in this last 3 action segments? First of all, excuse me, wow, all sinusy here tonight. I apologize. I sound like I'm dying. First of all, Task Force 2, which is this group of slow convoys, he has decided to start moving again, especially because I do have a strategic detection on it, and my subs are able to hound that task force. The Task Force 1, which is Tbilisi, she is in real bad shape. Her aircraft are all but decimated, and the ships are pretty much, well, it's going to be easy pickings once I can put another major attack on that group. So he pulls that one away. He runs that one west, trying to get under cover of Roskarma. I know Scott. I know what his goal is there. I can't allow that to happen. We're going to have to get to that fast there. So, again, we are looking at his surface action moves. Basically, that's all of his ships up here. He does have this task force, this Indian task force in the North Arabian Sea, but because it's in a storm zone, it's moving at a snail's pace, and it really doesn't have anything to offer in our look at this, what happened in this part of the battle. Here's where it got grim, and this is what we were talking about before. The Indian fleet broke free of the storm zone, was able to move three squares, or 2 hexes is all it needed to move, and it was able to get to Task Force 5 here. And when we look at Task Force 5, you will see the Ranger is no longer there. So the Indians brought to bear Task Force, what was it? Task Force 1. And Task Force 1 has 10, 20, 30, 40, 70, 80, 94. 94 surface-to-surface missile attack. It was pretty grim. He put everything into the carrier. Task Force 5 was hit hard. It left just the two remaining surface ships, Defenders, the Gridley and the Waddell, and then my two PCs. The Ranger herself went down, and with the Ranger went her whole complement of aircraft. And that is sad to see when you see two F-18 squadrons, two F-14 Tomcat squadrons, an A-6 Intruder squadron, an electronic warfare squadron, an S-3 Viking squadron, all of them destroyed, along with the carrier itself. Killing a carrier in this game, U.S. carriers are double their defense value. So when we look at the carrier he killed here, the Ranger has an 8 defense value. So he got 16 points for that kill, along with 3 points for every combat aircraft he killed. And he got 4 aircraft there, so 12 for the aircraft, 16 for the carrier. He just was able to achieve 28 points of victory points in that kill. And he's far from finished. These ships, really, there's no reason he needs to stop at this point. They no longer have air cover, so his bombers out of Roskarma, or not Roskarma, but Kamran will finally have a target. It's just a grim scene down here. So, and that was pretty much everything he had to do with surface. After surface, he won initiative, activated his air. In this turn, we go back, there's really no aircraft that he has available to him except out of Roskarma here. And Kamran, he must have forgot to activate out of Kamran, because I'm not seeing any major damages beyond the death of that carrier in that group. I don't know, but we don't have a log file to know what happened, so I don't know what he did there. Maybe he just forgot. Anyway, Roskarma would have flown whatever aircraft it had, sub hunters for certain. But all my subs are still alive and well up here in the North Arabian Sea. Obviously not having much luck at killing anything, because all his subs are alive and well. Nobody's damaged. Everybody's detected, but nobody's damaged. Casablanca was damaged. Anyway, the turn would have continued with after whatever his aircraft would have achieved. I don't know what it would have been based on what I'm seeing here. But I end with subs, activating my subs. Again, as I said, all the subs are detected. Nobody's damaged, neither his nor mine. So obviously we did a bunch of rolling of non-effective attacks. The technological wonders of these subs that I can't hit anything with. Neither down here. Nothing down here to speak of. Although I can say the Irtish right here was finally hit. Noisy Alpha, I think it is. And then we also sunk the Skortsov, because if we look at the damage track here and look at SNs, you will see the Skortsov is now part of my kill pile. So the Skortsov was over here in this group. Either my Task Force 5 attacked it and killed it, or maybe the Baton Rouge or the Sea Lion or even the Chaika could have gotten lucky. But that was the end of that, and that was the end of that game turn. And that is the end of the game day 3, as this night turn ends with game turn 10 starting. We will be, with game turn 10, we'll start a new day, and there will be a new setup. All this, the storms and all the command failures will change. We'll see what happens in the next video with the setup. and what comes of it. So hope you join me for the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you're enjoying this battle and this analysis of the battle. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. I thank you for watching.